क्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सिन्दूरारुणविग्रहां त्रिनयनां माणिक्यमौलिस्फुरत्तारानायकशेखरां स्मितमुखीमापीनवक्षोरुहां पाणिभ्यां मलिपूर्णरत्नचषकं रक्तोत्पलं बिभ्रतीं सौम्यां रत्नघटस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत् परामम्बिकाम्। ॐ ध्यायेन्नित्यं महेशं रजतगिरिनिभं चारुचन्द्रावतंसं रत्नाकल्पोज्ज्वलाङ्गं परशुमृगवरभीतिहस्तं प्रसन्नं पद्मासीनं समन्तात् स्तुतममरगणैः व्याघ्रकृत्तिं वसानं विश्वाद्यं विश्वबीजं निखिलभयहरं पञ्चवक्त्रं त्रिनेत्रम्। ॐ नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुर्गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्स सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्।
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव किं कुर्वत सञ्जय। श्रीभगवान् उवाच क्लैब्यं मास्मगमः पार्थ नैतत्त्वयुपपद्यते क्षुद्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यं त्यक्तोत्तिष्ठ परन्तप। अर्जुन उवाच किं तद् ब्रह्म किमध्यात्मं किं कर्म पुरुषोत्तम अधिभूतं च किं प्रोक्तम् अधिदैवं किमुच्यते। श्रीभगवान् उवाच अक्षरं ब्रह्म परमं स्वभावोऽध्यात्म उच्यते भूतभावोद्भवकरो विसर्गः कर्म संज्ञितः। अर्जुन उवाच अधियज्ञः कथं कोत्र देहेऽस्मिन् मधुसूदन प्रयाणकाले च कथं ज्ञेयो असि नियतात्मभिः। श्रीभगवान् उवाच अधिभूतं क्षरो भावः पुरुषश्चाधिदैवतम् अधियज्ञोऽहमेवात्र देहे देहभृतां वर अन्तकाले च मामेव स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरम् यः प्रयाति समद्भावं याति नास्त्यत्र संशयः। यं यं वापि स्मरन् भावं त्यजत्यन्ते कलेवरं तं तमेवेति कौन्तेय सदा तद्भावभावितः अभ्यासयोगयुक्तेन चेतसा नान्यगामिना परमं पुरुषं दिव्यं याति पार्थानुचिन्तयन् प्रयाणकाले मनसाचलेन भक्त्या युक्तो योगबलेन चैव भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्राणमवेश्य सम्यक् सतं परं पुरुषमेपेति दिव्यम् सर्वद्वाराणि संयम्य मनोवृद्धि निरुध्य च मूर्ध्याधायात्मनः प्राणम् आस्थितो योगधारणम् ओमित्येकाक्षरं ब्रह्म व्याहरन् मामुना स्मरन् यः प्रयाति त्यजन् देहं स याति परमां गतिम् मामुपेप्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयमशाश्वतम् नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गतः अग्निर्ज्योतितरः शुक्लः षण्मासा उत्तरायणम् तत्र प्रयाता गच्छन्ति ब्रह्म ब्रह्मविदो जनाः धूमो रात्रिस्तथा कृष्णः षण्मासा दक्षिणायनम् तत्र चान्द्रमसं ज्योतिः योगी प्राप्य निवर्तते शुक्लकृष्णे गतीयेते जगतः शाश्वते मते एकया यात्यनावृत्तिम् अन्यया वर्तते पुनः नैते श्रुति पार्थ जानन् योगी मुह्यति कश्चन तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु योगयुक्तो भवार्जुन वेदेषु यज्ञेषु तपःसु चैव दानेषु यत् पुण्यफलं प्रदिष्टम् अत्येति तत्तु सर्वमिदं विदित्वा योगी परं स्थानुमेपेति चाध्यम्
Very nice. Thank you. Acha, so I believe we finished 10.3. Is that right?
We are on 10.6.
Ah, that is right. Right, right. Yes, indeed. Yes, we did this. Huh. Okay, did we finish 7?
We finished 7 too, I think.
Ah, I believe so. Anyway, for continuity, maybe one of you can read 7 and we can continue from there.
एतां विभूतिं योगं च मम यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः सोऽविकम्पेन योगेन युज्यते नात्र संशयः
Whoso knows this vast power and yoga of mind truly, tattvataha, yaha veti, he who knows what this etam vibhutim, which is all the powers described in the first 6 verses, which are beginning with the fact that the Suraganas do not know his origin, nor even the Maharishis, because he is the origin of the Devas and the Maharishis, who should know me as unborn, Anadi, and beginningless, unborn, Ajam, sorry, and Anadi, unborn and beginningless. And that person who is undeluded, asammudaha, among martyeshu, among the mortal men, What are the other powers of the Lord? Buddhir, Jnanam, Asammoha, intelligence, knowledge, non-delusion, Kshama, endurance, Satyam, truthfulness, Damaha, sense control, Shamaha, mind control, Sukham, Dukkham, Bhavo Bhavo, pleasure and pain, being, non-being, Bhayam cha Bhayam, fear and fearlessness, Ahimsa, non-violence, Samatha, equanimity, Tushtihi, Tapa, Dhanam, Yasho Ayashaha, Bhavanti, Bhava Bhutanam. All these accrue only from the Lord. And of course, many of these are in the Shatka Sampati or Yama Niyama of the Yoga Sutra. You will recognize these characteristics. All this is coming forth from the Lord. And even more, not just that, the seven great seers, Maharishaya, Sapta Maharishaya, and before that, the first four, the Manasaputras of Brahma, and the Manus, were all mind born. Endowed with my powers, these beings are their progeny. So, whoever knows this vast power, this is, you see, ultimately, if the mind is not satisfied with the Mahavakyam, Brahman Satyam Jagan Mithya. If the mind is not satisfied with that Mahavakyam, then let us explain all the Mithya. Right? Let us give a meaning to all the Mithya as coming from the Lord. The Uttama sadhak, on hearing the first Mahavakya, Brahman Satyam Jagan Mithya, will have faith in it and say, okay, fine, all this is false. There is only one Lord. Let me betake the efforts described in Aparokshana Bhuti, etc., and follow. But Bhagavan has said in the beginning that this is for everybody, even those born in Papa Yonis, right? So, since people like stories, if the mind likes stories, okay, let me tell you all the stories and tell you that I am the origin of all that, right? And indeed, we do see all these beautiful things, fantastic things through the senses. So, the mind, when it is sunk in the senses, needs an explanation, right? So, this is the explanation, okay, all right? So, there is no doubt in this. And undoubtedly, the Lord is right. He is not incorrect to say this. Okay, then, how does the commentary go on 7? This vast power, etam iti, as indicated, and yoga, that is my nature, vide, see Bhagavad Gita 9.5. What is 9.5? Let us remember. Was it one of our 9.5? न च मत्स्थानि भूतानि पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम् भूतभृत् न च भूतस्थो ममात्मा भूतभावना. Neither do beings exist in me. Behold my sovereign yoga. Myself brings into existence and sustains them, yet does not dwell in them. This is a very powerful and sovereign yoga of the Lord. Aishwaram. So this one, or by yoga is meant omniscience. That must be sarvajñatritvam. Yes, sarvajñatvam is written here. And power due to mastery. Yogajam yogaha uchyate. Yoga aishwarya samarthyam. Whoso knows this yoga of mine truly. Mama madiyam yogam yaha vetti tattvataha tattvena yatha vadityetat saha avikampena aprachalitena, unshakable, will come in possession of this. Yogena samyak darshana sthairya lakshanena. This right perception, seeing everything as the same, yujyate sambadhyate, Na atra samshaya, na asmin arthe samshaya asti. There is no doubt about this. So, therefore, kidrushena avikampena yogena yujyate iti. What kind of unshakable yoga is it with which he is endowed? Uchyate. That is now being said. So, whoso knows this vast power, and therefore, remember we said that prior to the direct experience, anubhava, that is sought, intellectually there has to also be the seed of the knowledge has to be put in the mind, right? Correct? If that is not there, then, and unfortunately that is less and less these days. Very often people want some kind of dramatic experience, right? Some experience, something fantastic, okay? But will you be able to make sense of it, right? Because there are many experiences that can make you go bonkers pretty easily. Naturally occurring plants you can eat and go bonkers. And what will be the great benefit to you or to the people around you or to society as a whole? Nothing, right? Nobody benefits. If a healthy human being, without knowing their function and place in society, just loses their mind, there's no benefit to anyone. So Bhagavan knows this. So Bhagavan starts by saying, first know this vast power, know this yoga of mine, right? Intellectually you know it, right? Then you will be inspired to practice, right? So again, in our Hinduism YouTube channel also, this point is emphasized. Make the foundation on karma and bhakti very, very strong, right? Get some knowledge of the Gyan Marg. Read the texts. First read them, Shravana, or listen to them. Shravana, Manana, then contemplate on them. Then you will be ready for Nididhyasana. And at that last stage, for that deep, intense meditation, one can start with the Prakarana Granthas, attain mastery and competence in Hatha Yoga, Raja Yoga, and this will then be opened up. But suppose I come into this entire story and I say, I just want experience, dramatic experience, right? Sure, right? What good will it do? Right? This must always be considered. Any undertaking, we must consider what is the good to me and what is the good for everyone around me and the society. So in that, of course, Bhagavan knowing, being all-knowing, omniscient, is giving us this fantastic instruction that once you know these points, once you know all that we have read intellectually, then you will be ready for, and that's why the reading of the Gita itself is so powerful. This intellectual understanding is itself a great step forward, right? Like an analogy, if we go for swimming lessons, swimming instructor first says, well, you're going to go into the water, and then first thing they teach you is, I think, moving your feet or something like that, right? Hold the side and move your feet up and down. So first, this is what you're going to do, right? You're going to bend your legs at the hip, not at the knees, and things like that, right? This will give you a better stroke later. So similarly, the foundations are being built. Before you're thrown into the water, you're told that, right? If you're not told that and thrown into the water, what will happen? You'll do some ridiculous kind of drowning motions. You may drown also, right? Correct. So those who want to enter that swimming pool of sadhana, the beautiful path of sadhana, will do well. But nowadays, you see, most people are put off by the foundations of karma and bhakti. It's not fun. It doesn't sound attractive, right? It sounds kind of all the stuff that I ran away from to become spiritual. Now you're forcing it all on me. I didn't want to be religious. I wanted to be spiritual. And you're bringing all this stuff back. So, but nevertheless, there can be joy in every aspect. So reading this is like reading the manual, as you may say. And any instruction you can take, right? Any instruction. First, they give you a little bit of theoretical knowledge, then you start the practice. So this is the point here. So then Bhagavan says, what is this, the commentary? What kind of unshakable yoga is it which he is endowed? And this beauty thing of avikampena, we say Achyutai. Remember in that Sandhyavandanam, Achyutai. He never moved. He never was shaken from that yoga. So who is going to read number 8?
I can go. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha.
Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Very nice. So, first part is very easy. Aham sarvasya prabhava. I am the source of all things. Right? And who can say this? That mind that is permanently established in Brahman can say it. Right? And the mind that delights in Brahman is Ram, we say. Right? Ramate. Right? Also appearing as Krishna. So, such a one can say, I am the source of all. Right? Mattaha sarvam pravartate. All things proceed from me. Naturally, because it is only from that pure consciousness that everything arises. Iti matva bhajante mam. So holding, worship me. Who worship me? Buddhaha, the wise ones. Bhava samanvitaha. This bhavam, such a beautiful word, right? Remember, even earlier it comes in one verse. Nasti buddhir ayuktasya, nacha ayuktasya bhavana. Remember that? This bhavana, this sheer delight in the heart when one hears the word of the Lord, when sees the form of the Lord, right? A sweet devotion, a very personal devotion, right? Because to know your true self is to know your oldest friend. How do you feel when you meet your friend from many, many years ago? Think about it, right? Do you have some very close friends? Who doesn't have a close friend? Everyone has a close friend, right? Little kids will say BF, best friend. BFF, best friends forever, and make a little bracelet. You have a best friend in this life, right? BFF, right? So what is your feeling when you see this best friend? You will run. And pre-COVID times, you would give a hug, right? Embrace. Correct or no? Yes or no? Right? And what a joy when you run off to, maybe you go to your favorite swimming place and you jump in the water and you remember the things you did. You remember the times, your sports together, right? What is the feeling in your heart, right? If one can come to the Lord with that feeling, right? So it's a very intimate approach to the Lord. not somebody who's far away, right? Someone who is so close to me, who has been with me all the time, not only in this life, but every other life before this also. Huh? Then how you will feel. Imagine, I mean, now in one life, if we know somebody for 10 years or 15 years, uh, and some of you are younger than me, so that might be your whole life itself, I don't know. Uh, how much love you have. Then imagine if you knew this person for yugas, right? Definitely you will have a lot of love for them. Yes or no? So with that love, right? It's most tender. It's most intimate. There's no love that can be in any sense greater than that, right? Because it is your very own true self, right? Speaking to you. So that bhavana, right? With that bhavana, he says, the wise adore me. Right? So aham iti, I, the supreme Brahman. So you see, Bhagavan should never be thought of as somebody far away from you, right? You take any beautiful experience you have multiplied to the power 10 million, that is Bhagavan, right? Can you think of any delightful experience? You sat by the ocean one day, you saw the waves, you saw the sunset, you were basking in the sun one day, you saw a beautiful flower, uh, you saw some fantastic natural sight, right? Um, you have a very close friend who does good for you, even whatever the circumstances, right? You know somebody who's a stranger who doesn't know you from Adam and comes and does such sweet things to you. This is all reflection of the Lord, right? You multiply that a gazillion times and you think the closest and closest and closer to me. Someone who is so close to me that there is nobody closer than that. That is the Lord. Right? So then to forget that would be kind of silly. Isn't that true? Right? That's what Bhagavan is saying. He's saying, with that bhavana, come to me. I am so close to you. I've always been close to you. There's nobody other than me. And yet we are naturally not pointing fingers here. We all forget. The nature of this sense and mind is it does. But at least when we can read it, we can refresh the mind and feel very jolly about it. Okay, I, the Supreme Brahman, styled Vasudeva, Vasudevakhyam, Sarvasya Jagataha Prabhavaha Utpattihi. I am the source or origin of the entire world. Mattaha eva sthiti nashakriya phala upabhoga lakshanam. From me alone does the entire world, a system of changes like existence, sthiti, vinasha, uh, destruction, nasha actually, just na, sthiti, nasha. Kriya phala upabhoga lakshanam. That is the fruits of works, experience of the fruits of works. Remember, Ishvara is the phaladata, always. From me proceed all these things. Sarvam Jagat Pravartate. Iti evam matva. Holding this view, bhajante, sevante, they serve me. The wise, the Buddhaha, who have grasped avagata paramartha tattvaha, who have grasped the nature of the supreme reality. Bhava samanvitaha, bhavaha, they adore me with deep loyalty. Bhavana, loyalty means mind's attachment to the supreme reality. Loyalty is somehow, as an English word, it doesn't capture bhavana. Bhavana has a sweetness of it also. No? I don't know. I think intuitively you understand, right? Bhavana is more like devotion than loyalty. It has a certain sweet closeness and intimate quality to it. The idea is that they adore me with such attachment. Paramartha tattva abhiniveshaha tena samanvitaha samyuktaha ityartha. Kincha, and. Please, next one.
I can go.
Please.
मच्चित्ता मद्गतः प्राणा बोधयन्तः परस्परं कथयन्तश्च मां नित्यं तुष्यन्ति च रमन्ति च.
Very nice. So, number 9. Mat chitta, with minds fixed on me. Mat gata prana, with their pranas gone to me. That means prana have ascended up. And that is where the delight is. Bodhayantaha, enlightening parasparam, one another. Kathayantaha cha, speaking only of me. Kathayantascha mam nityam. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. They find contentment always and rejoice. Already I told you Rama came earlier. Without reading this verse itself, Ram comes to mind, right? Because this is the state. So, this will be very the point. In fact, that this is what satsang is about. This is what we're doing right now. We are turning our minds to the Lord. We did pranayam before this, restrained the pranas, and knowing, trying to enlighten one another through these nectarine words, speaking only of me, and delighting and rejoicing. I told you it is jolly, right? So this is the point. With minds fixed on me means mentally dwelling in me. Their vital powers like sight have been oriented to me. That is, those whose means of cognition have been given over to me. Enlightening one another and speaking of me as endowed with attributes like knowledge, strength, and vigor, they find contentment and delight as though they have met with their beloved. Very nice, echoing this point. The second expression in the verse, Madgata pranaha, may mean those whose life has been dedicated to me. Ye yathoktaihi prakaraihi bhajante mam bhaktaha santah. These devotees who worship me thus are further characterized. Number 10, please.
I can read.
Please.
Tesham satadayuktanam bhajatam priti-purvakam dadami buddhi-yogam tam yena mamupayanti te.
Yes. This actually has that a certain flavor of that verse from the Vishnu Sahasranamam we read in a previous chapter. Remember that one? Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam, it will come at the end. Right? Those who are Nitya Yuktanam.
Ji.
So, Tesham Satata Yuktanam. Okay. Slight turn of phrase. Same meaning. Tesham Satata Yuktanam. To them who are uninterruptedly united with me, Bhajatam, worshipping me, Priti Purvakam, and lovingly adoring me. Dadami, I give. Buddhi Yogam, I give them that union with Buddhi. Yam Tena, by which they draw close to me. Because from the Panchakosha theory, we know that situated in the Buddhi and turning inward is the way. Right? In this manifestation, in the Bhulokam, we have Annamaya Kosh, Pranamaya Kosh, Manomaya Kosh, Vijnanamaya Kosh. We can access the Vijnanamaya Kosh by resting in our Buddhi. When we rest in our Sattvic Buddhi, we are able to withdraw into that sheath. And it is Bhagavan who gives. And this is what he's saying. By practicing Bhakti Yoga, you will be able to establish yourself in that Vijnanamaya Kosh. Now you see the importance of that foundation, by which they then draw nigh to me. So the fastest way to penetrate the outer four koshas, right, very rapid way, is through this Satata Yuktanam and Priti Purvakam, right? So therefore this cultivation of devotion is very rapid, because definitely one can go through the yoga path, right? Sitting, restraining the pranas, restraining the mind, and then observe from the Vijnanamaya Kosha. On the other hand, another one just goes, lights the lamp, sits in front of the Lord, and attains also to that state, to that sheath. Then after that, what happens depends on the intensity of the practice. Right? Okay? I grant to them who uninterruptedly, perpetually unite with me, who have renounced yearnings for all kinds of objects, who adore or serve me, not in order to gain some object or another, but moved by love or attachment, I grant them, this is Buddhi Yogam, I will not call it intellectual union. What does Bhagavan say about Buddhihi samyak darshanam mat tattva vishayam. Buddhi is equal, samyak darshanam is the sort of evenness of perception. Here he says right knowledge. Mat tattva vishayam. So my knowing my essential nature. Right? Mat tattva vishayam. Right knowledge of the truth of the Lord. Knowing my essential. Tena yoga buddhi yoga tam buddhi yogam. Yena buddhi yogena samyak darshana lakshanena Maam Parameswaram Atmabhutam Atmatvena Upayanti Pratipadyante. Ke te ye mat chitta tatvadi prakaraihi Maam Bhajante. Those who adore me with their minds fixed on me. Why and for removing what obstruction on the way leading to you do you grant Buddhi Yogam to your devotees? The answer is offered. 11, please.
जी मैं पढ़ता हूँ. तेषामेवानुकम्पार्थम् अहं ज्ञानजं तमः नाशयाम्यात्मभावस्थो ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता.
Beautiful, beautiful. Tesham eva anukampartham aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayami atmabhavastho jnanadipena bhasvata. So aham jnanadipena bhasvata nashayami. I destroy. But what do I destroy? Aham ajnanam. Ajnanajam tamaha nashayami. Correct? I destroy that darkness, tamaha, born of ignorance. Aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayami. How? Jnanadipena bhasvata. By the light of knowledge. And why? So there Bhagavan says, how can I promote their well-being? Tesham iti. Tesham eva. Katham no nama shreyah syat iti anukampartham daya hetoho aham ajnanajam avivekatah chatam mithya pratyaya lakshanam moha andhakaram tamaha nashayami. So thinking thus compassionately, how can I promote their well-being? Katham nu nama shreyah syat iti, thinking thus compassionately, daya hetoho, I destroy the darkness of delusion born of ignorance or non-discrimination. Mithya pratyaya lakshana moha andhakaram. And how? Atma bhavastha atmanaha bhavaha antakaranashayah tasminneva sthitah. So, dwelling in their mental states, atma bhavastho. So, in other words, the Lord is in the mental states, right? That's what he's saying. So this is a very interesting, just grammatically breaking up this verse is very interesting because we can start with the very simple, aham nashayami. Then what do I destroy? Ajnanajam tamah nashayami. How do I destroy? Jnana deepena bhasvata nashayami. And also atma bhavastata, residing in the mental states. And why do I destroy? Tesham eva anukampartham. So in some sense it says, this beautiful verse, why it says, what, why, who, where, when. When is the only thing not there. Think of it. Can we encapsulate? This is the power of the Sanskrit language. People say all kinds of things about it, you know, that are so hard to hear sometimes. But I have not experienced a more compact, beautiful, and melodious way of expressing so much in so little. Right? This is why it is called Devanagari, the language of the gods. Right? How beautiful in such compactness, and yet it rhymes. It has got a cadence. It is part of the meter, right? And it has the highest truth. Anyway, very delightful verse 11. This is truly very nice. Acha. Yatoktam bhagavata vibhutim yogam chashrutva Arjuna was. Then Arjuna, listening to the statement of the Lord's power and yoga. But before we move on, this is very beautiful, right? And at the same time, fascinating that to think that there is somebody watching out for us all the time. Right? This is the power of Bhakti Yoga. How often do we feel lost or bereft of help or uncertain, right? So right now, the prevailing feeling is uncertainty, right? What is going to happen? Will the health of us, our near and dear, our family, our neighbors, our county, our city, our county, our state, our country, of the world, will the health of everyone be supported? Will everybody be healthy? Will everyone be safe? This is in doubt, correct? Right now. Okay. That creates an uncertainty, right? Who is in charge? The current lack of leadership in so many spheres of our worldly activity give us a very great doubt whether people who are supposed to be in charge even know what they're doing. Yes or no? Right? So then health is uncertain, safety is uncertain. Just recently, someone from one of my extended family in India wrote a long list of reasons why the vaccine cannot guarantee anything. Right? And I was thinking, surely if you've grown up, you know that there are no guarantees in life. Are you foolish enough that after all these years, you still think there is some guarantee in life? I couldn't stop laughing all morning. Okay, come on. You can't be so goofy. Of course, there's no guarantee that the vaccine will do anything, right? But that's not a reason not to take it, right? There's no guarantee if you look in the external world, right? So uncertainty. We don't know what the economy will do tomorrow. Nothing is certain. But then the Lord says, with these powerful words, he says, I've been looking for you all along. I've been here, taking care of you, your oldest friend, with compassion, trying to see what I can do good for you, right? trying to remove this darkness of ignorance by shining the light of knowledge. Right? Are these vastly contrary? How do we feel about this? Are these two statements that I said, are they true or untrue? Which one is true and which one is untrue?
Both are true in that sense, but one that matters is the later one.
Right? And the latter, faith in the latter one can help in the former. Right? So there are two choices. Okay, let us say that everything is uncertain. Yes, health is uncertain, economy is uncertain, future given, agreed. All right, what should we do about it? Right? We can go crazy with the uncertainty. Or if we take second path and read this and gain faith, then we can take the best decision that our buddhi will afford us at that point. Right? That's the best you can do. Right? And it'll be good enough. Right? Because the Lord has given his guarantee. Does that make sense? Right? And one can do it with great peace of mind and great joy. Right? Because in the midst of this also there is, in this hour, we can have great joy, can we not? Right? Nothing to stop us from enjoying the Bhagavad Gita. Right? So this is the beauty of this work. Acha. So any other comments, or we can move on to 12, because now Arjuna has a question.
I can read the next one.
Thank you, Bhavan. Please.
Thank you. Arjuna Vovacha Param Brahma Param Dhamam Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Saswatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum.
Very beautiful. Aha. So now, after listening to all this, Arjuna says, he acknowledges the divinity of the Lord in this statement. Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. You are the Supreme Brahman. You are the Supreme Abode. You are the Supreme Sanctification. Purusham. You are also the everlasting Divine Spirit. Shaswatam. Primordial God. Divyam. And divine. Divyam Purusham. Adi Devam Ajam Vibhum. Unborn. Ajam. And primordial. Adi Devam. Vibhum. All pervading. Param iti. The Supreme Brahman is the Supreme Self. The Supreme Abode is the Supreme Effulgence. The Supreme Sanctification is the highest purifying power of the Lord. The everlasting Spirit is the eternal divine, the heavenly primordial God who was before all gods. Right? Unborn and all-pervading. I was remembering the Purusha Suktam. There is a place where it comes, who was before all gods. So that was the part of the Suktam I was trying to remember. Right. So because the gods are the ones who sacrificed with him. Right. So no questions in this. So we move to 13, perhaps.
I can read.
Please.
आहुसत्त्वामृषः सर्वे देवर्षिर्नारदस्तथा Asito devalo vyasa swayam chaiva bhavishi me.
Ahustvam rishayah. Ahustvam rishayah. Ahuhu tvam rishayah. Sarve deva rishi naradas tatha. Asito devalo vyasah swayam chaiva bhavishi me. Thus have all seers hailed you. Tvam. These rishis. Sarve. Likewise too. Deva rishi naradaha. Asita. Devala. And Vyasa. And to me, you yourself declare the same. Swayam chaiva bravishi me. So you see, this is the power that peer review has been done by Arjuna. He has checked that all the rishis have also declared this. Right? He's not accepting the paper just as it is. He says it has been peer reviewed by all the rishis, Deva Rishi even. So, and you're also saying, okay, I accept it. The scientific method was there in our culture for a very long time. People do not accept things just like that. No? So, next verse.
I'll read.
Hmm?
सर्वमेतद्धृतं मन्ये यन्मां वदसि केशव न हि ते भगवन् व्यक्तिं विदुर्देवा न दानवः.
Sarvam etad ritam manye. All this I take as truth. I deem to be true. Yanmam vadasi Keshava. That which you tell me, O Krishna, O Keshava. Nahi te bhagavan vyaktim viduhu. This manifestation of yours, O Lord, do not know, neither the gods, Devana Danava. Neither the gods nor the Danavas know this truth. Sarvam iti, sarvam etat yatoktam rishibhihi tvayacha etat ritam satyam eva manye. Yat mam prati vadasi bhashase he Keshava nahi te tava bhagavan vyaktim prabhavam viduhu devaha na danavaha. Danavahas are the children of Danu, right? All that has been stated by you and the seers I deem true indeed. Neither the gods nor the demons know, O blessed Lord, your manifestation or your origin. Yataha tvam devadinam adihi atah, because you're the source of the gods, etc. Therefore, number 15.
I'll read. Swayamevātmanātmānam vetthatam purushottam bhūta bhavan bhūtesha deva deva jagatpate.
Swayam eva atmana atmanam vetha. Only yourself, through the self, know the self. Okay? Swayam eva atmana atmanam vetha. So what does this mean? Here, atmana, through the purified mind, right? Atmanam, the true self, right? And this is a tricky word, a tricky pada, actually, very tricky pada, because this knowledge is not, I said purified mind, that's why, right? Because the self is never the object of knowledge, correct? Right? When the mind is operating in so-called impure state, it sees the duality. It's only the pure mind that sees the non-duality, right? So that is the tricky part in this. Swayameva atmana atmanam veta. Through the purified mind, in that state of samadhi, in the non-dual perception, you see yourself. Tvam, Purushottama, O Lord of all beings. Bhuta bhavana bhutesha. Bhutesha is Lord of the gods, and also the Lord of all beings, Bhuta Bhavana, Bhutesha. Deva Deva, and then Jagatpati, God of the gods, Jagatpati. So Lord of all the beings, Bhutesha, Lord of all the beings, and Deva Deva, Lord of the gods. Jagatpati word. Only you yourself know the self by yourself. Supreme Spirit, Purushottama. Swayam iti, swayameva atmana atmanam veta, janasi, tvam, niratishaya, jnana ishvarya, bala, the shaktimantam, Ishwaram Purushottama. You with unexcelled niratishaya, knowledge, jnana, aishwarya, lordliness, bala, adi, shaktimantam, vigor and so forth. Know the self, the Lord, O Supreme Spirit. He is the cause of all beings. Bhutani bhavayati iti bhuta bhavana. Bhutesha, and he is the Lord of them too. As he brings them all into being, he is their Lord. Bhutanam Isha. Deva Deva, God of the gods. Jagatpate, Lord of the world. Okay. So we will stop here, 628. Seems like a nice place to stop because the trend of thought is going to change a little after that. And so any questions on what we covered today or comments?
So it's a small detail, but in the 9th shloka, it says like bodhayantah parasparam. So I think normally for sadhana, I don't find these things like it's a sort of not a community effort, but in a sense one helps the other also. So that Bhagwan is stating here. That was something new for me.
As in satsang? Yeah. Thank you, Pranav. Any other comments?
I have a technical question, I guess, trying to understand, and maybe is there going to be any correlation or not? So when you mentioned, the different kosas, right? When we penetrate different kosas until, Vijnanamaya and then Anandamaya, right? So I wonder the, correlation with the prana rising. So does the prana rising, ultimately, when it's in samadhi, only those experience, those state can be pierced and move forward, or as the prana rises and then we keep penetrating those sheaths and then moving closer, how that would work, yeah, especially sadhaka like us, how to reconcile that.
So one can situate oneself in the Vijnanamaya Kosh even when the pranas are active and operational in all the nadis, right? But the question is how transparent it feels. Okay, so you go to the temple and your pranas are wherever they are, right? With the associated impurities that may be there in all the nadis. And you sit down in the temple, you close your eyes, and you enjoy the presence, right, of being in a place where much meditation has been done, where many Shubha Kriyas and rituals have been done. So this is still situating oneself in the Vijnanamaya Kosh, right? Correct? The question is how transparent have all the koshas become? Do you see what I'm saying, Mahesh?
Yeah, yeah.
And so what Bhagavan is saying is that by repeatedly doing that, correct, is another way of purification, right? The yogi sits in asana, restrains the pranas, and performs a purification, nadi shodhana, right? And also then through meditation, purification of the mental movements. This is one way. But by repeatedly also engaging in bhakti, because that is also operating from that Vijnanamaya Kosh, the outer three will be purified, is what Bhagavan is saying. Right? In both cases, it is the intensity and the uninterrupted practice over a long period of time that yields the benefit. Right? So now, remember he said nitya yukta, etc., etc., right? So suppose I sit in this, twice a day in puja, right? And first, how does it start? First, we say, okay, we go to the temple and let's go to the temple. God is in the temple, right? So this is first buddhi clicking, right? Something says, okay, go to the temple, right? So rather than going somewhere else, the buddhi said, go to the temple. So there was still Vijnanamaya Kosha operating in some way. Went to the temple, sat there, enjoyed. So then you keep going to the temple, then what happens? One day there's a snowstorm. You can't go to the temple. So what should you do? Should we give up sitting in the presence of the Lord? So then a little bit more, the Vijnanamaya Kosh clarifies and says, well, I can also do the puja at home. I can install a murti and do it at home. Okay. So then you call 20 people over every time and you have great bhajan and kirtan and puja and all that stuff, right? But then if you call 20 people over your house every day, people will not come actually. So then if nobody comes, should I do puja or not? Now Vijnanamaya Kosh is getting a little more clarified. Well, of course, right? Why should your worship be dependent on that 20 people being there or not? What kind of worship is that? So then you say, no, okay. So I must therefore continue my worship regardless. Whether there is a temple or not, whether I can go to the temple or not, whether 20 people come to the house and do puja or not, this practice must continue. Now what has happened to the Vijnanamaya Kosh? It has got more clarified, right? Then after reading it, then where is the Lord? Suppose one day I'm on travel. I'm not at my home even anymore. I don't have the pratimas in front of me. I don't have the murtis in front of me. I don't have my puja spot in front of me. So today, should I give up the practice because of that? No. So then where is the Lord? Right? Now what has happened to the Vijnanamaya Kosh? So if you apply logic to bhakti, it cannot lead you anywhere other than yoga. Yes or no? Right? So a bhakt who has a brain, hopefully, right, and applies the same logic is going to come to the same conclusion. What have I described at the end of this logical pursuit of bhakti? Is yoga. Because in the end, the bhakt has to turn his mind inward. If I take away his temple, I take away his kirtan, I take away his bhajan, I take away his pratimas, I take away his murtis, what is left? And if a bhakt does not have bhakti without those accompaniments, what kind of a bhakti is that? Zero. That is not bhakti. That is a big show to show people that I am very devout. But many people don't like to hear that. So Bhakti must be there at all times, without all the paraphernalia. Yeah, if the paraphernalia is there, good, once in a while, sure. If you go to the temple and enjoy the temple, enjoy the bhajans, enjoy the pujas, but it must continue regardless of whether those are there or not, right? Otherwise, it's not true bhakti, right? Yes or no? This is what Bhagavan is saying, if we want to hear it. So that's the thing. Nitya karma comes back to now the same thing in Karma Yoga. Nitya karma, constant and same thing. Nairantarya satkara asevito drada bhumihi yoga sutra. Consonants in all three parts. So very good question. I didn't answer technically, but I think
Yeah, I think I'm comprehensive review. Thank you.
I keep saying the same thing again and again, Mahesh.
So, yeah, sorry. We will keep bugging you.
No, the bugging is good. I'm saying I'm apologizing because there are no new answers coming out. But it's jolly good fun, right? And it helps us see things in a different light, hopefully. Anyway.
So that's a very, very elegantly explained, Shankar. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Always, as you said, you have said it many times, but then each time you say it, I think it brings out something new. So thank you. I really like the way you explained this aspect. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's something, it just strikes you sometimes. That's what I want to say. Yeah.
I agree. Thank you. Yes. And the power, of course, is coming from the Bhagavad Gita. It's impelling us to ask these questions and directing the mind in this way, right? That's why this satsang is so valuable. Is when we start reading the Lord's words, he starts pushing it in the right direction, the thinking. Yeah. This is the great power. Acha. So, any other comments or questions? They're good, actually. This is very important because, I appreciate every time we understand it differently, other than through the formal words, and then that makes it more real.
Dr. Shankar, Sundar here. Sometimes, sometimes people call themselves like, they claim themselves to be God, and also they say that they are the way, or they are the ones that God has, sent them to gather and enlighten the other people, right? So I really have very or in a common sense, right? In a general sense, like a lot of people use that particular particular thing as an advantage, and misuse that that belief that they get, the people give to them. And that happens a lot in our in our Santana Dharma, right? So what is your take on that? Do you believe in all those people who claim themselves to be so and so, or I have no clarity on that, and I feel very terrible when when people misuse, and actually when people believe and then they get misused. So what do you feel, or what do you think about that?
Very good. Yeah, it's a good question. Definitely. I think I understand what you're saying, Sundar. So thank you for the question. I'll give you a very my limited personal perspective on this. All my sadhana, what it taught me was when we sat in satsang, and those who came to the satsang, and I think those who have been here a long time will remember this, right? The first statement always is that God is in you. Right? To my simple mind, that is what all this is teaching us, right? True sight can only say I am God in a very special circumstance. These avatars. So what is the characteristic of the avatars is they don't have this karma residue in them, right? So when Bhagavan Sri Krishna descended, it's a voluntary descent into Bhulokam, right? To help everyone, right? Now, at one level, yeah, I say you're right. Yeah, if any Swamiji comes to me and says, I am God, yes, you're God. Who is denying that? Why are you saying it? I never denied that you're God. Very good. Then behave in a godly way, because I didn't claim that I'm God, right? You know, so there is, to me, it is a superfluous statement. You're coming and telling me, I know you're God. Yes, you are God. Obviously, you're God. All the texts proclaim that it is nothing but God. Thank you, right? This is one aspect. Second thing is, if you truly know that you're God, right? Under what circumstances do you talk to yourself like often? And if somebody talks to themselves all the time, what will you say to them? Pranav is, huh?
It becomes a mental case then.
Yeah, let's say it's a mental case, right? Correct? Right. So that's why we have to be very careful. So the moment a person opens, I always say this even in our the moment I open my mouth, ignorance only is coming out. It's true, right? Words are ignorance, right? That the state in which one feels one is God cannot be put into words for ordinary human beings. That is, who have descended in this innings and somehow had some, by the grace of God, had some experience. Those cannot actually say, I am God. It would be a stupid statement, right? Because under the influence of words, that truth is not articulable, if one can make up a word like that, right? And nevertheless, it is true, right? And for those who follow, well, you know, Bhagavan himself said, right? Those who worship the Bhuta Pretas, they go, they have one fate. So you see, depending on the temperament, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, the guna predominance, yeah, it's there. It happens. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we just have to take it as a Leela of the God, of Lord in Kali Yuga. I've always felt look to my own salvation first and then worry about the rest later. Maybe a selfish approach, but safer, because to try and convince those who are drawn to that is a very tricky business, right? And to try and convince those who are convinced they are God is even more tricky. Probably when they cross the law or something, then law enforcement will have to do that. Right? Yeah.
That is exactly I was asking. Like, you know, some people they basically, you know, they misuse it, right? So if someone is, you know, truly believing that, you know, on the one hand, I feel that there should be a guru, you know, to give, to enlighten us. Even Swami Vivekananda had a guru, right? So he followed him. So sometimes we think he is a guru, but then he might end up being worse than an ordinary human being.
Indeed, indeed,
Mm.
absolutely. So the standards for the guru, as established in our things, are very high, right? So that's why I say that there are 3 gurus only or there may be more according to one's conception, but 3 we know meet that standard, right? And then for the rest, Shraddha Bhakti is the way. Right? Right. That perfection is definitely very, 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 very challenging. Indeed, indeed. So personally, I feel that humility and, as I said, easier to see God in others and attain faster than declare from the rooftop that God. Yeah. It's an easier path. Very good. Any other questions?
Thank you, Dr. Shankar.
Yeah. Also, this Kabir Doha, if you know that one, is very pertinent here, right? And the words of the true masters, right? And Kabir was a master in every sense of the word. Is Bura jo dekhan main chala, you know that one? Bura na miliya koi. So when I went to see if there is some badness in other people, I went out to see. Bura jo dekhan main chala. Bura na miliya, I did not meet anyone who was bad. Jab man khoja apna, when I explored my own mind, I realized there's no one worse than me. Mujhse bura na koi. Right? These are the words of true masters. Right? So, acha. Very good. All right. So we will say now, our Shanti Mantram. Enjoy your evening. It was a delightful satsang as always. Lovely to see you all. Have a lovely week, and we'll meet again. Om Tachamyoravrinimahim Gatum Yajnayam Gatum Yajnapataye Daivihi Swastirastunaham Swastirmanushebhyah Urdhvam Jigatu Bheshajam Shanno Astu Dvipadehi Sham Chatushpade Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.